defense. We spoke a lot about the quarterback position. Running back's position looks very nice. We said something about the offensive line. A wait and see when it comes to the wide receivers. You saw a little bit of Keatron from Arkansas. But let's discuss the defense, and Byron Vaughns is going to be a part of that. I appreciate his time. Byron Vaughns is going to be a part of that going forward.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot more questions about the defense than I do the offense. And the secondary has got a lot of questions. I think they're okay at linebacker. Obviously, they felt they needed to add along the defensive line. But, yeah, they are, and especially for a defensive head coach and a defensive coordinator in Matt Powledge, I don't, even after 15 practices, I'm not sure they quite know what they have over there, Craig.
I don't think there's much star power at all. I think that's kind of across the roster, but particularly on the defensive side of the ball. So I think grabbing a outgoing, charismatic edge rusher, especially when edge rushers at a premium, is certainly a nice move to make. He seems like he'll come in and fit in well and be a nice spark for that side of the ball. But, yeah, there's not a lot. There's no Siaki Ika, that's for sure. There's no Jalen Petrie running around, that's for sure. I think the secondary, based on how the spring was, is better than expected because I think that was sort of thought like it might be the weak link. I know certainly when talking to coaches, you look at the amount of turnover there and you're like relying on some pretty young guys or pretty inexperienced guys, and then also relying on some transfers like an Isaiah Dunson, that there was reason to kind of be questioning that. But I think based on what I saw, a lot more people were coming out worried about the linebackers, worried about the defensive line, or maybe just worried about the thing as a whole. Got to give Matt Powledge time. They're not done, obviously, in the portal. Just added Vaughns a couple days ago, and I'm sure they'll add more there. But just to what extent remains to be seen, obviously. And, I don't have a good feel for an expectation there. They're certainly not going to be a team that I think is relying on their defense to win them games. I think the offense is going to have to win them some games, and the defense is going to have to be better than it was last year, but I don't see a way to where it gets so good in the next few months to where it's, leading them to a championship the way that it might have been expected to do last year and didn't, or the way that it did, in fact, do that 2 years ago. They're kind of in a no man's land, if that makes sense right now for me, and the offense is where I'd put their strengths, but even still, I don't know that they're so strong there that it's like an Oklahoma team from years ago where, they'll just outscore people.
No.
I don't know where that leaves them as far as, what to really wrap your arms around.
I like what I saw from Mike Smith, the transfer from Liberty. Yeah. He was very active. I like what I saw from him. There were plays, there weren't many. There was not. I don't know if it was the wide receivers or I didn't see a lot of people running free. Dabney had the play down the seam for a touchdown. The concern I have, I wrote down these names. Boykins went out with an injury. Have not heard yet on that. Trey Emery from Mount Pleasant, who's a fire hydrant run stopper, has not practiced and was not in the game. He's a big dude inside. So I don't know about there's no Siaki Ika, as you said, Craig, but do they have anybody there that's going to help plug up the gaps? I don't know.
Well, they can't rely on it's a big NFL prototype nose tackle. It's like they have been the last couple years.
Yeah, they can't even do that.
So, yeah, you're not just going to go, unless you're Alabama or Ohio State or the usual suspects, you're typically not going to just find another Siaki Ika to replace him, and even still, he wasn't a perfect player. There were times where he wasn't full motor. I think when you look back at the chemistry issues last year, I don't want to point at one guy, but I wonder, was he involved in that just to a certain extent? Because we know his relationship with Dave Aranda. We know how tight they are. And when he's talking about, being taken advantage of and things like that, we know Ika's kind of a loose plug or, loose wire at times. And so I don't
free thinker.
Yeah, I'm not saying that was the case, but when he's talked about it that way, I was like, I wonder if, maybe Ika was lumped in with that a little bit. So maybe you lose a lot, but you also gain a little bit as well. I don't know. Maybe he's not even a part of it all. So, but regardless, he's not going to be easily replaceable. And what he did give you, you're not going to be able to just automatically get back with someone else. So yeah, it's a puzzling situation on that side of the ball. I think on every part of the roster, when you look at what you can be surefire, pumped up, and 100% about, there's room to grow at corner, there's room to grow at safety, there's room to grow at linebacker, there's room to grow on the defensive line. I could see them addressing any of those positions, and all of them if they had the numbers to do so, which remains a question mark because we don't know about any further attrition. But yeah, for a team that has brought in 10-plus guys at this point, or right at 10, and has lost the same amount, if not one or two, there's going to be more, I think, additions and probably subtractions as well, and I wonder where they place that emphasis.
And then Garmin Randolph, of course, has not been a part of it. So you're looking at some beef, although Randolph, of course, is playing – what is he playing, the jack position, Craig? I get those mixed up, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think so.
So, there you are with that. I think the star power, I think you can win without star power, but you have to have some alphas. And Monterey Baldwin's an alpha on offense. I thought the running back room looked more than healthy with what they have with Richardson, obviously with Richard Reese, with Quaylen Jones, and the incoming freshman. He's there in Bryson Washington from Franklin High School. All right, when we come back, there's a lot to get to. At 4